Today is the 17th day of April. The year is 2022. And we say a very big and a very good warm welcome to the Focus Group. My name is Sharon Paul and kama kawa tuko hapo ndani na Thuku Mwita. Mr. Thuku, habari ya leo na karibu sana katika the Focus Group siku hii ya leo.
Asante sana bwana Sharon.
Umekuwaje? Weekend imekuwa mzito lakini Monday lazima tuamke tuone vile tunaweza kupata kufanya kazi to make sure that we meet the bills and the utilities in our houses.
Mapya ni gani?
Mapya ni mengi lakini
ni wiki mpya.
Ni wiki mpya, vitu ni vipya, vitu ni vingi. Kwa mfano kama the discussion that we're going to have today is a totally new one, and we continue to tell you to be part of the Focus Group by subscribing, by following, sharing, and leaving a comment on our online portals. That is the Facebook on Thuku Mwita Thuku and Sharon Paul SP, as well as on YouTube, where you'll find us at Sharon Paul Media and Thuku Mwita Thuku. Umeuliza ni yepi mapya katika siku yetu ya leo?
Yapi mapya mpaka weekend imekuwa aje?
The weekend was action packed, but here we are in one piece and we thank God.
That is good.
Yeah.
Maandamano bado tunaendelea nao ama tumepostpone?
Maandamano, it's somewhere in the vacuum. Very soon I think it should be landing. Baba yesterday had a congregation to address and walisema Ramadhani inaisha tu hivi pap, we are back in the streets.
Ramadhani ya lini?
Ramadan inaisha I think towards the end of the month, the day they'll see the moon. Yeah, that will be marking the end of the Ramadan celebration.
So you have to wait until the end of the month to have a holiday. So inabidi tungoje
mpaka mwisho wa mwezi ndio tupate likizo. Inasemwa likizo ya lazima. Yeah, but there were discussions yesterday, and Baba was there addressing a very big congregation, a very big crowd, and it was very evident that it is not yet over.
Okay.
So maandamano bado yanakuja.
So thank you very much for joining us. This is the Focus Group. Welcome back again on the week. Hii ni wiki ile ya katikati. People are getting advances. So those who are not getting advances are quite facing the wrath of this country. Thank you very much for joining us back again. Mr. Sharon, do you have anybody joining us so far?
Bado kidogo ndipo najaribu kuangalia, lakini naweza ona tayari tuko hewani. Yeah, we have bado the graphics are coming, but tuko tayari.
Yeah.
Now, just to introduce the topic for today, we are going to talk about sex education among teenagers. Be part of this by following the live broadcast and shooting your questions wherever you're watching us from. And kama kawa tunasema ni shukran sana for all the subscription that we found, the following that we found, and your very candid comments that we've always got when and whenever we go live. Now, Mr. Thuku.
Yes.
I'll introduce this topic, sex education among teenagers. And Kikenya teenagers ni watoto wetu wale ambao wamehitimu, ni kuhitimu au wamefikisha miaka ya 13 to 19. This is a very, for lack of a better word, a very ripe age and stage in their lives, developing sexually, developing physically, emotionally, and all matters around our teenagers. So by statistics, if you go by the current figures that we have, globally, we have 1.8 billion young people between the ages of 13 to 19. And by the year 2021, by the year 2014, 61% of its 45 billion people were under the age of 24. It can tell you how huge we have. Yes, please.
What's the world's population?
The world's population.
I thought it was 7 billion.
It should be 7. It increased by the beginning of this year. It was supposed to be around 7 point something billion.
7 point something billion.
Yeah.
So you're saying 1.4 billion out of the 7 billion the young men between the age of
13 to 19.
To 19.
Yes.
That's a very huge percentage.
It is a very huge percentage, and they even bring it down by saying 42% of the entire population still falls under the age of 15. And it can tell you how fragile our economy, sorry, not economy, we're talking about economy and politics still as you go.
The economy still is fragile.
Yeah. It can tell you how yeah, it can tell you how fragile our young society is. Because now when we break it down to Kenya, youths in Kenya face challenges while within their transition from childhood into adulthood. And then you can realize that currently these young thugs, they really develop very fast. And when they are at their adolescent stage, there are so many things that are uncertain about the way their bodies change, about how to shape relationships and about their futures. Because you'll realize that when they are now growing, matters relationship is becoming very critical, especially now that the digital space has brought the whole world into the palms of our hands. And this one also affects how their future is going to be molded. This is particularly challenging to the adolescents or the young people, especially the girls who are living in poverty. You've seen very many studies, very many surveys have been done, especially within the slum areas, how the girl child is affected by sexuality, how the girl child is affected by her trying to be that woman that she should be. And to make it matters worse, they are those people who we call them people living with HIV and AIDS. So this sex education about teenagers brings in all these questions that we tend to ask ourselves and try to find questions as well so that we can really understand what sex education is, who are the target audience for this kind of discussions, and how well we can impact this discussion so that we as the senior generation can see on how to help mold them to become better people in the future, better leaders in the future, and even them within themselves to make them understand what is expected of them, what are the limits within them, and how best they can relate now that we're having these issues of LGBT.
Yes.
Yeah, you like leaving out the Q, but the Q is also there.
There's a Q.
There's always the Q.
The H is also missing. So
yeah, and you're talking about the H. So it's a whole heavy conversation that as the senior people in the society should be having when you're trying to understand actually what is sexual health and how do I know that I should be impacting this kind of information to somebody who is now trying to start being sexually active. And some of the questions that these young thugs always ask is, how will I know that I am pregnant? Unajua ni mtoto wako wa miaka 15, 6, 7 hadi 19 nakuja kukuuliza daddy, mami, how will I know that I'm pregnant? How do you disseminate this kind of information to them? And how should they start also understanding things to do with sexually transmitted infections? And how to tell them as well that within some stage, within some age, they should just stay away. They should just stay away from things to do with the matters relationship. At the age of 15, they're still young. They're not even developed sexually, body-wise, mature within their brains to really understand what relationships is. And now the most fundamental issue is are all these questions that we're trying to ask, can they be termed as normal questions that we should be bringing forth to our teenagers to help them really understand things that they can help us do away with the moral decadence within our society? So the very first thing that I would like us to talk about, Mr. Thuku, whose responsibility can we say it is to bring these young thugs on board and talk to them about sexual education?
It is the parents.
It is the parents.
Bona Sharon,
Yes.
matters to do with kids. Even before they get to that teenage age of how you having to start on this conversation,
Yes.
you need to realize that that conversation will never come if you never open doors for other conversations with your kids. So children are very delicate, and children are they tend to learn quick by pattern. So basically, if you're not having a conversation with your 2-year-old right now, if you cannot have a relationship with your 5-year-old, then trust me, at 15 years, there is no way you're going to have that conversation.
So this conversation should start as early
as possible. As soon as they know how to crawl, as soon as they know how to say their first word, that child should be able to give you the count of the day. How was today? What happened where? What did what?
Who did what?
Who did what? Who came to visit mom when I was not around? You see, so these conversations, when you're having the sex conversation, it won't be like you're introducing something very cumbersome, something very difficult to talk about. It will be just another normal day's conversation. So if your child is going through some changes, your child is going through some abuse in school, it won't be some very scientific conversation that the child is trying to introduce. The child will be giving you account of the day. Then you as a parent will be able to now separate disseminate the information as it comes. The child will tell you, like, ni story tu anakupatia. Dadi leo kuli happen hivi na hivi, nani aliniguza wapi. The child is basically giving you the count of the day. A breakdown of the normal day the child normally gives you. The child should be able to tell you what happened during the day, every other day. So you as a parent should now capture what is happening where. So the child is going through changes. It is for you to understand now.
As a parent,
these changes are coming because my child is turning to another level. You understand? It shouldn't be a conversation that Sasa sit down to mama, we need to talk about these things. Sit down, daddy, we need to... No,
it will be very uncomfortable.
Establish a rapport with your child as early as possible.
Yeah, and just hold on to that thought. Usisahau, I'm coming to that. And actually, from one of the cropped out information that I wanted to share to support what you're saying, I'm reading it from a journal that was done in 12th of March, the year was 2021. It says, proper sex education can only be given if the correct messages are being sent explicitly and implicitly by parents. You said it is the sole responsibility of the parents to start these conversations to their young ones. And there has to be openness, not a rigid or dogmatic atmosphere at home. Just to echo what you said, building of that rapport makes it easier. Si zile za dadila wametoka job, mama ametoka job, Tony, John, Ann, kuja mkae. We want to talk about this.
Tunataka kuongea about hiki kitu. Unaona anje. Hapana, this is what happens. You see, there was a conversation I was watching the other day.
Yes, please.
About sex education on TV. And most of these specialists, I'm not a specialist myself, but I do not need to be a specialist to know I'm hungry to eat. I do not need a specialist to know I need my conjugals right. I'm not a specialist. There are things you do not need a specialist for. And this is what I picked up on all these topics that were going around about how you should approach this thing. You see, most of this information that you're going to give to your kids, you as a parent will think that ukifika jioni siku moja and you see some funny behavior with the child and you think it's about time you have that conversation. That is not the right approach to go about it. Because you'll have kids who normally watch these things. They do watch these things on TV. Much as you try to censor them with some websites, some funny websites. You know, I've been trying to vet these websites. hii ni ujinga. Because if a child is going to be able to click I'm 18 years, then what are you censoring?
Exactly.
You get?
Yeah.
So this is what you should do. The moment you sit down with your child, Bona SP, and you're trying to have that conversation very promptly, when you've decided that my child is 15 years, and now because you are 40 years are trying to indulge in these conversations, trust me, you know more than this kid does. So in the process of you giving the conversation to your child, you're going to give them knowledge of things they did not have knowledge of. You see, kids are very experimental. So you're going to tell them of some ways to handle sijui what. This kid was not thinking about sex. So you've already introduced contraceptives to these kids. What do you think is going to happen next? This kid is going to indulge in sex because they know now there's security after sex.
Yeah.
You
and there's a way that maybe the STIs can be prevented and pregnancy can be prevented.
You're giving this child Mwakenya on how to approach these things. Please do not subscribe to these informations. This is what you do, Bona SP. As early as your child is 5 years old, start a conversation whereby mtoto akienda daycare, hata sio 5 years, hata 1 year kama anaongea, if there's a child anaongea na 1 year. Introduce a rapport whereby a child can give you the risk account. You understand?
Yeah.
Then from you as a parent, when this child is old enough to go to school, Ama is old enough to crawl outside, Ama is left with the house in the house.
Yeah, actually I wanted to bring that.
The relatives. You understand? This child can tell you of what the day. This child hata kuwa kikuajua ni kukuambia na kuambia, hata kuwa kijua ni kushtaki anashtaki the other person, but this child will tell you what was happening throughout the day. Then you as a parent is for you now to understand. Mtoto sasa ameruka ile class ingine. Now we need to have a conversation on this. You understand?
I get you.
So that is how you approach these matters. Lakini you coming home after 15 years and you have to you want to talk about LGBTEH. You understand? Then you giving this child information this child did not need to know at certain points. You understand? This information is given in phases. This is not conversation you're going to have in 1 hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours.
It is gradual.
This is gradual.
Procedural.
This is information because your child may be facing sexual abuse. You're telling your child about contraceptives. Your child is already sexually active. You're telling your child about other stuff. So you need to approach these things with the way they come. Let it be a life lesson. You understand? This is not a day's work. This is a life lesson and it will come from your child. Your child will give you direction on what to talk about.
Yeah, now, but you've actually tackled almost 3 issues that I wanted us to narrow down on.
I'm that bright.
Ulisema nyumbani ni wapi tena? Sasa, what if you come to Homa Bay and we feed you fish? So you'll be, I wanted to say more brighter, but I realized that is not English for Maluo. You will be brighter. Now, the other issue that I wanted to bring on board, however you've mentioned it, is at what age should we start discussing this? You've mentioned that as early as 5 years.
Not 5, as early as possible.
As early as possible. Yes. As early as you've said, kama anaweza ongea from as little as they are at 1 year, it is even better. So that when they are growing, they get to understand that this thing is there and it has its limits, it has its I don't want to talk about advantages, but it has its disadvantages. So that when they are growing, they also try to understand their sexuality, who they really are physically, mentally, emotionally, especially for our girl children. You see, now that you've said that this thing should be introduced as early as early as possible. Let me not say 5 years. Our kids currently, as they grow, I say these people are exposed to a lot of online content. You as a parent, you've gone, mwacha mtu hapo nyumbani, wewe ukitoka ujue ulimwekea Cocomelon, but he has access to
so many gadgets.
Yeah, to very many gadgets. Saizi wanapatiwa mpaka masimu, kuna laptop, kuna TV, streaming online. And we have this content that is always shared online. Na pia umegusia kidogo. How well should this content be regulated so that just by the click of I am 13 years old, but it's prompting me to ask me, how old are you?
Yes.
I just click up 18.
Yes.
I get access to all this. And that is when they start getting to know that, kumbe, this thing is there, but my parents are not talking about, my teachers are not talking about, my elder brothers or sisters are not talking about. How well, I'm not so sure if you can get the very right answer, but how well should this content be secured so that this age group of 13 to 19 cannot access it that freely and get that kind of exposure at these tender ages?
Bwana Sharon Paul, let me tell you something. And listen very good.
Yeah.
There is no way to censor this generation to anything. Not even this generation, even us. There was no way to censor. This is what I'll tell you, Bwana Sharon. You're going to put all the measures za kufunga internet by all these security sites at home. Then this child will go to school and have some kids whose parents do not even care. They even watch porn with their own children. Your child will get first-hand information. Virtue, atapatiwa story ya venye waliona kitu jana last night. You get? So this thing will still get through to your child, however much you need to avoid. So there's a friend of mine. I gave him a lecture some time last year. Akapunguza urafiki yangu kidogo.
Watu wanakupa ukweli.
So this is what happened. So I'm with this guy in his house, and this guy is watching this. Actually, it was the wife who was watching this Netflix thing, and it had so many indiscretions within it. Ilikuwa na mambo mingi sana huko ndani. So whenever those things got to play, alikuwa anachukua remote anapeleka mbele. But now you see, you've given this child education and a lot of questions, a lot of curiosity. Because this child already anashindwa, what is this being?
Mbona hii inapelekwa
mbele. You get? This is what happens. You as a parent, make sure you do not take those kind of stuff at home. First of all, that is your duty as a parent. If you're going to watch Netflix, it is for you to know what you're going to watch. And that is why we have phones right now. If you're going to watch anything, go to your room and watch it. Leave the TV to the kids and to the news if you want it. Although hata siku hizi news iko na mambo zingine
news siku hizi ni kama horror movie.
Exactly. So this is what will happen, Bwana Sharon. By mistake, if that scene comes to your TV,
switch off. Not
switch off. Have that conversation right there and then.
Thank you.
Because this is what is going to happen, Bwana Sharon. Your child is not dumb. Your child will go explaining to kids what they saw partially on their TV. Then there will be another child who never got censored na aliona the whole thing. Then atampatia the whole virtual experience of what was happening. Now they're going to try and what do you call it, and experiment it. And because your child already knows that you're trying to protect them from that, they will not approach you with that. So if your child goes to school na aanze kuambiwa maneno fulani ya scene fulani ya movie, na already aliona hiyo title ndio ulikuwa unaona movie, lakini hizo part ulikuwa unarukaruka, you think your child is going to come back to you and ask you questions? They are not.
Tayari
ashajua daddy hataki nijue ile kitu, so siwezi mu approach. But if you have that conversation right there and then, hii kitu inafanyika hivi sababu ya hii na hivi, na hii kitu sio mzuri kifanyika kwako sababu ya hivi na hivi na hivi na hivi. You get? That conversation, mtoto akienda apatiwe another extensive version of it, atakuapproach. Akwambia daddy uliniambia hivi na hivi. Lakini rafiki yangu aliniambia hivi na hivi na. So you get to learn on how to approach in another way. You get? Because you're not genius. If you were genius, you would be a king in Netherlands or somewhere else. You get? We are not genius. Wazazi tunataka kujifanya tunajua lakini hatujui. You get?
Yeah.
So you get to learn a particular thing you did not tell your child, but now you need to enlighten them on it. You understand? That is how you approach this conversation.
And now, you can finish.
That is how you approach this conversation.
Sorry.
On another thing, you see, if you're going to maybe it's a scene you saw on TV, and you're trying to protect your child on that. Ama your child saw something else and they find it very interesting. This is what I normally do with my children. I do not tell them this is wrong, sijui sababu nitakutandika. No. I normally tell them something very interesting. What do you like? I know things they like. I'm not going to tell you what my children like. I know things they like. And I know people, they like something they find interesting. So you might try to relate that to this situation. You get? So you might try and tell them, if you do this, this is going to happen to you. So your education is going to be cut short. And somebody you like very much got to be whom they are because they went through school and they avoided this kind of stuff. You understand?
I get
Try to show them how that is not fashionable. You get?
It is still not within their age limits.
Not even their age limit. Show them how that is not fashionable. You know, my sister was telling me the other day that she only think it's only my kids who will spend more in textbook center and not in supermarkets. This is what I've gotten to tell my kids. When we get to the bookshop, I show them how getting books and other creative items is more fashionable. And they've actually influenced other kids to like that. Other than going to playgrounds, spending so much money, they can spend these monies in these bookshops, buying things that are going to help them. Show them how to paint. Let them paint things that interest them. Acha kuonyesha kupaint. Inaitwaje ile kitu tunaona kwa movie? Inaitwaje ile kitu tunasikia inatoka pesa mingi? You see?
Actually, as a matter of fact, let's try and bring to them the culture and the habit of reading.
Exactly.
And loving books.
Yes.
Yeah, and one of the extracts I also got from here is everything still bottles down to it is the sole responsibility of parents to introduce this kind of conversation to their kids. Now, there's a question that I wanted to ask, but I can see a pop-up already, which is, what role does parents play in sex education to our children? Now, one of the responses I'm getting is the important role parents play in a child's sexuality education includes, and not limited to, providing the family perspective.
Exactly.
Just what you're saying. When you get out with your kids, it is not just about going to the playground, to the kwenda kukula pizza. Take them to textbook center. Let them grow knowing the culture of reading is giving them power. And it also says that support your child's level of comfort in discussing sexuality-related issues. Just the way you're putting it. When you see it running, mimi nilisema nitazima. Tu umesema utazima. Utawauliza.
Explain to them what that is and what repercussions there are to having that. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to show them porn and then try to explain it to them.
Yeah.
But you'll have those very uncomfortable scenes. Just show them, just tell them this is not, and it is your sole responsibility as a parent to make sure those scenes do not pop up in your TV. But it will happen at some point.
Yeah. You could be watching a movie innocently.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then boom.
Yeah, some of these animations you're watching nowadays. I mean, Family Guy.
The Family Guy channel now. You say watoto. And just the last sentence on here on this question of what role does the parent play in the sex education, it says maintaining an open dialogue with the school about the school-based sexuality education program. And now that's what I wanted as that's what I wanted to bring on board about sex education in schools. And I'll bring you back to the discussion. The provision of sexuality education to adolescents nationally is supposed to be by several national policies and guidelines. Although these focus on life skills and HIV and lack of comprehensiveness. I think that's why the lack of comprehensiveness, that is why it is not very aggressively being taught in schools. And way back in the year 2013, the Kenya government signed a declaration in which they committed in scaling up comprehensive rights-based sexual education beginning in primary school. We said it's the parents' responsibility to start bringing this conversation at a very tender age. Now they are in school. There's discussions and education about sexual education. They have told us this thing should come as early as when they're beginning the primary schools. To get a twist a bit on this, we have sexual abuses in schools. Sasa tumetoka nyumbani, tumeshapata role ya mzazi, what to do when such kind of a thing pops up. We know that we are teaching them about sexuality, how they should be going about it. And now, sexual offenders, when our children are not in our homes and they're at school. This will have really needed an expert, but who would we say are the immediate suspects and culprits to this?
Let me tell you something, Bonasharo. Mm-hmm. Most of the sexual offenders you see out here are the most caring people. And that is how they put to trap our children. Most caring people. Most caring people. Mm-hmm. You see, the misses you have at home are the misses that are going to land the child into those people's hands. Because they show these children the love they never get at home. And that is the trap they use. So, Bonasharon, I'll tell you again the same thing I told you. If your child does not feel comfortable with you, then
as the parent,
then no, they fall prey to these predators. You get? The moment your child feels that they cannot have a conversation with you, they will try and have that conversation with someone else. These people are centralized between the teachers, your family members, people close to you, your friends, because that is the circle your child revolves around. You get? Your child is proposed zile extreme cases where a child is raped by a random person almost. Most cases are the people your child normally lives with on a daily basis. That is the teachers, your family members, your neighbors. And exactly.
Sisemi wanafanyanga hivyo lakini
there is something I want to tell you, Bonasharo. Even if you do not have money, make sure your children feel comfortable with you. Make sure your children have confidence enough to know that I do not have this product here, but I'm loved by my parents. I can tell my father anything. That is the only way you're going to prevent these children falling prey to these predators. Because if your child feels that there's a disconnect between you and them, especially the girls, if they feel that there is a disconnect between you and them, they will try and salvage this disconnect somewhere else. And those people they normally go to are the people who take advantage of them. So please try and have a connection with the children to a point whereby, I know money is scarce right now, and children will normally feel very comfortable with parents who have money. But trust me, I will have my child whom knows leo hatuna pesa, but I can talk to my dad and tell him this and this and this and this is what I want. This is what I want. When you have money, try and have that kakiti ya watoto wako. Give him 100 shillings. Give them a 200 shillings. Let them plan for those tiny things they need to buy to snacks hapa kwa shule, kitu wanajua yake personal, you know.
And they also start knowing the art of saving.
Yes, the art of saving. And then when you're broke, you can go and steal from they know this is what I do. They know like my first daughter. Normally when she wants something, she will come very confidently, knowing that I owe her money. She's not borrowing money from me. She knows I owe her money. So she'll come with confidence telling me, you owe me money. So from the part of money you owe me, give me 20 shillings. You understand? But she knows I'm broke, but she will know that I've given you money. You understand? So when that child comes to get money from you next time, she will come with confidence, ni pesa yangu ninakuja kuitisha tu, sio pesa yake ninamuomba. You get, and that will prevent that child from going to gather 20 shillings from someone else
who can now turn her into
exactly
a prey.
Exactly, because you know everything in this country is quid pro quo, so it will have to be paid somehow, and people are very rotten in this country. I can say that people are very rotten in this country. So please, that connection with your child is the only thing that will give your child protection. Sharon, you're here, you do not know what is going on at home.
Exactly.
You cannot be there for your children 24/7. So please try and build measures to make sure that when you're not there, there is security for your children. You get?
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, still back to the school. From the journal that I was getting this information from, it still indicates that the role of a teacher in sex education. It says teachers are role models and credible sources of information for students and their families. Unajua, you play your part as the parent in the family, but when they go to school, they also find that the teacher is also playing this part of being a role model and disseminating this information gradually, systematically to them. It creates that comfort of them understanding better and knowing that this is something that has to be talked about. The teacher will learn how to prepare for teaching and the human sexuality curriculum. It is there in school. And how to be more comfortable with the curriculum. Because the teacher also has to be very comfortable with this when they're disseminating this information. Because I remember when I was in class 6, just kitambo tulikuwa nakaa 3 people in a desk, Charlie, Charlie, we could be mixed. So one of our teachers, I think that was it in home science or science? She was introducing the topic of teenage, adolescents and something. Yeah. I'm telling you, the class was intention, man. People are giggling. People are. I mean, there was some, you could feel that there's some sort of tension and discomfort. Because now the teacher came very openly. Akatuambia, today I want to talk about. I think it was adolescent. As you're growing, for the boys, breaking of the nose, the girl, you'll start having your bust enlarging. Now she was proceeding with the matters to do with hips and stuff, the girls now started giggling, and you're wondering, is everything okay?
Yes. You see,
yeah.
Reason why I'm saying teachers can only play a 1% in 100% of this conversation. Teachers will only stick to what they have in their work plans, just to pass through that initiation and move you to the next level.
Yeah.
The reason why you find there was so much unrest in that classroom when that topic was being introduced, it's because you as a student did not have that conversation from home. Exactly. This is something new that is being introduced to you. You get? Then again, this teacher is handling around 30 students.
Yeah, actually, our classes used to contain almost 40 to 50.
40, you see?
Yeah.
So these are people who've come from so many backgrounds. And the reason why I told you the sex education is best handled by the parent is because you will have all these children who have different urges and curiosities around this area. So you'll have one whose curiosity is around the body change. You'll have another whose curiosity is around
the voice,
the voice,
the breaking of the voice.
Exactly. You'll have another one who's already experienced most of these things because of the issues they go around in their estates. They've already seen too much. Now the curiosity is, how do I protect myself because I'm already indulging it? You understand? The reason why I'm saying mwalimu haizi jua and haizi handle easy issue pait. So it is for you as a parent to start this conversation. So one conversation can lead to another. Today you started, your daughter have given you some explanation of someone who approached them. You understand? So you started on that conversation. So that conversation will lead to, first of all, this is how you protect yourself from these people who are trying to lure you. You understand?
Yeah, exactly.
Secondly, the second conversation now will be, if this happens, this will happen. And this is how you're going to protect yourself. You understand? So this is a conversation that is dragging from one dimension. It can drag from so many dimensions. Mwingine hata kuuliza kwa nini sauti yangu ina change. You understand? So you will start from there. You get? Then lead into another conversation. Ndio maana nilikwambia, do not start this conversation from randomly, because you're going to be giving information to your child, information they did not need to know right there. You understand? Some children are very curious. As much as you try to protect them, they will try to figure it out on their own. Mpaka mjeredi bitandike ndio tu ata understand. You understand?
Yeah.
So please stop approaching this sex education randomly. Let it start from somewhere. Then that conversation can build up. Sasa utakuwa umecover the whole thing. Maybe hata utakuwa ukimwambia when they are 30. You saw the chairman, the someone who works in State House as an advisor. Up until now, they have no communication skills. You understand? This is a very elderly person. So these are skilled, best learned graduate. You understand? You get?
I get.
So you cannot have these conversations siku moja pap.
That inaisha. You have to take them step by step. You introduce every other topic of concern gradually as they grow. And now when they are hitting the teenage level, now that is where we have the biggest board of contention to chew with them. And you will find that at that point in life, you'd ease this kind of conversation in the house. At school, it is going on well. Now it is very easy for you to sit down with your teenage son, your teenage daughter, and tell them, Daddy, Mommy, this is what is expected of you, and this is what you should not do.
Actually, what I'm trying to avoid, Bonasharo, is for you to never have that moment that you're sitting down and you're talking about this. What will be there if you start this conversation as early as possible? You will never have to sit down and have that conversation.
It will be like a normal talk in the house.
It will be a normal talk. So today, mtoto ni if you have a conversation with your child, siku moja lazima ataku approach. Akuulize swali. Niyo swali sasa ndio ita build up to the next conversation. You get?
Yeah.
Niyo swali ndio itakuwa a doorway to so many other doors inside there. That conversation will never end up until you watoke kwako.
Yeah, and I remember a friend of mine was telling me she's done with campus actually, but wazazi. But she was telling me, SP, I have no problem with my parents because one, my dad started telling me these things way back in the day when I was still young. Akaniambia, my God, like, especially when she got into campus. Akaniambia, kwanza, you spend 99% of your time in campus.
Exactly.
I cannot know what you do from morning to evening.
Exactly.
But I want you to trust me. Wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, just tell me, Daddy, I'm up to this, and this is who I am with at this position.
Exactly.
She tells me at times she's out with the girls, her friends. Babaka na call, can I come and pick you? Anaambia babake, hapana, si size ngoja kidogo. Even if ameendelea mbele kidogo akatumia hii mambo na inaitwa adult beverage. It is because they have a free communication with the dad.
Yes.
The dad knows, anasema sasa mimi pale umefika hii ni maisha yako. What I can do is to continue protecting you till that time that now you'll be leaving my house, you go to your place.
Sharon, I'll give you an example. There's so many murders happening of late, since a few years ago and moving forward up until now, of these campus kids.
Yeah.
So many of them are dying randomly, all over.
And it's about matters, love triangle gone sour.
I was having a conversation with one of the students, Mali moja alikufia. And she's believed to be living a very good life here in Nairobi. But back at home, she used to go back as a student. So mzazi anamjua akiwa tu ule msichana alituma shule nyumbani. Alituma shule. When she comes home, she's coming with the bag. The dad sends her money for transport. She anaenda napanga laini no thrift vizuri sana, anaenda nyumbani. But here in Nairobi she drives.
Gari anakaa wapi?
Anaiacha Nairobi. You get? When the parents come to visit, she has a hostel.
Anakimbia huko.
Mwenye anawapelekaga. It's fully packed mpaka nguo za ucha zinakaga kwa hostel. Sasa hizi za Nairobi zile sijui zinafikaga wapi. Well, the imagination starts. You know, ladies in Nairobi will wear skirts. Where the boys' imagination starts. That is where the skirt ends. So they have another. She has another apartment.
She's living a double life.
Yes. No, this is someone who did not have a conversation with their parents.
Exactly.
This is someone who feels very insecure to have a conversation with their parents. You have another set of other people. Children, one of them who died very, very recently. Someone who will go and build their parents, their mothers a home. And you're in second year. Wewe ukiwa mzazi nikuulize. Wewe hauwezi kaa hivi ukiwa mtu mzima ujiulize hii pesa inatoka wapi?
Hata help haifiki huko.
Jachana na help. Hata ukapata kakazi sijui. Watu wako huku nje miaka na mikaka na hawajui jenge. Kibanda wewe uko sekondia na umekuja umebuild. So this is all communication mishaps. So even parents are missing. You get? Even parents are also wanachangia kwa hizi vitu kufanyika. So when a child comes home in a casket ndio unaanza kujiuliza, mtoto wangu amekufa sijui nini. You contributed to this.
You ought to have started this conversation very early in you.
Where are you getting this money? You get
very, very early in her tender age.
In her tender age.
So that by the time now she's in campus,
she's able to communicate.
Yeah, she's able to communicate. Ataambia mzazi, hey, daddy, mommy, there's this thing happening.
Exactly.
As a wise parent, we should be very, very open, frank, and just being honest with our kids about sexuality. Because all these things about sexuality. Utapata kuna mtu alimapproach. I'm still on your story. Akamwambia mrembo, wewe ni mrembo sana. Si tunaweza ABCD. Akamwambia situation ya nyumbani, akamwambia sawa, sisi tutaishi Nairobi. Wewe siku unaenda nyumbani chukua hiyo bag yako ya unarudi ulisema anapanda nini? Not left.
But you see, it even gives the person who's giving this child money an easy way to mistreat them, because they already know this child will never have she's never told the parents. So mistreating this child is very easy. But you see, if this child had a conversation with the parents, akija waambie, I met someone, she's capable enough of giving me this life, can we go and meet? This person atakuwa mpaka na uoga ya kumistreat huyu mtoto, because there is openness. Hakuna kashida hapa. Unaona, kuna this openness kila mahali, na kila mtu anajua huyu mtu ndio akona huyu mtoto, ndio akona huyu mtoto. So huyu mtu atasikia mpaka uoga kumistreat huyu mtoto. You get? So it all boils down to that starting moment. And it is very hard for you to have a conversation with them. This is a grown up. You're trying to tell them
akona informed perceptions.
You get?
Yeah, whatever she wants in life, whatever he wants in life, yes, sasa anaifuatilia.
Unaenda kumwambia mambo ya sexual reproductive health, kuangalia hata kamzee.
So hizo
kanajua, hata ninajua vitu zingine.
Ataambia mzee bwana, unajua hata BAP2 imepanda. Yeah, but now all this thing about sexuality, sexual education, what our kids and an extent at which our kids should be going to, it all boils down to we as the senior citizens and we as parents. Let us start this engagement very early, so that by the time wanafika hizo miaka, it's an easy talk. Now, I think I should be touching on something last as we come to a wind up. I wanted to know, Mr. Mwita, kuna yale mambo ambayo tunaweza sema na hawa watoto, some aspects about sex education that we should introduce to them. At that tender age, things would be like, you can play with a boy, but you know, with the kids we use the asishike dudu yako, unaona. Yeah, so a boy will be growing, a girl will be growing, anajua daddy alisema, mama alisema we can play, but hakuna kushika dudu, hakuna kufanya nini. Ukitaka kwenda for a short call, you run back home. You see such kind of aspects. Now still from the narrative, the journal I was using, it says sex education for teens includes 1, abstinence, not having sex. I mean, at whatever age, though at 15, 16, they start becoming sexually a little bit mature or active, but it's still not the best time. Abstinence, and there should be also this idea of gender identity. One of the says we are mixed up. Oh, I am a boy trapped in a girl's body. I am a girl trapped in a boy body. Mimi ni mwanaume lakini napenda mwanaume wenzangu. So gender identity is also very important. You want to chip in something?
This is what I'll say, Bwana Sharo.
Yeah.
About telling your children not to do this. This is the concept of being a little itty bitty evil parent comes in. You need to be somehow kidogo evil. You see, it is normally said someone who has something to lose will focus more. Someone who has nothing to lose has nothing to lose, and they will not even focus. Yes. So when you're telling your children not to do that, give them a reason not to do it, and not fear. Usimwambie ukifanya hivyo nitakutandika. Hapana. Give them a reason they will love to subscribe to for them not to do that. You get?
Yeah.
Wewe nataka ufikirie hata achana na huyo mtoto. Wewe mwenyewe saa hii ukiambiwa uachana na double black. Unasikiaga aje? Unasikia wumbo kukosea?
Hiyo ni swali ya kila mtu, si ati tu. Yeah, kuna vile
lakini unasikiaga aje? Unasikiaga wewe hapa ninakosewa.
It's like removing a portion of my life from me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you told Sharon, don't take the double black because tomorrow there is an event you need to attend and it's paying well. Exactly. Then you have something to lose. Hiyo siku hata unatokaga hapo mapema na kusikia ukiwa mbali sana ukienda nyumbani. Hata utajisimama mahali.
Saa 11 nakwambia nimefika huko.
Umefika nyumbani. Bibi anashindwa umefukuzwa mahali unaenda.
Huko pale ilikuwa kuna Jamaica.
You get?
Yeah.
Give it straight. Come up with that is now the concept of you understanding your children. What do they love more? So you can relate this story with that. So if you don't do this, then this is going to happen to you. This is going to happen for you, not to you. For you. You understand? Now relate what they love. Na hiyo hizi hafanyika kama ujui watoto wako.
Lazima uko unawaelewa vizuri.
Lazima uko unawaelewa na unajua ni nini wanataka. You get?
Yeah.
Kwa siku hizi watoto wana tu tricks twingine
sana.
Wanakuonyesha ninapenda TV. Ndio ile siku utawakosea. Wewe hata TV mtu tena. Ana shughuli nayo. Lakini alikuonyesha hiyo ndio anapenda, ndio punishment iko
hapo. Lakini ile kitu unapenda
iko. You understand? So you need to understand your children. You really need to understand them. So you can relate whatever they want with this thing.
Yeah.
Usifanye hii kitu inaitwa sex. You understand? Ndio kama hautaifanya ukifikisha 18 years hii itafanyika. Hii itakufanyikia. You get? It will happen for you. Utakuwa hivi. Then mtoto atakuwa akifikiria hivi shule. Anaangalia nifanye hivi nikose kuwa Justin Bieber hapa. Acha nitulie.
Nifanye hivi nikose kuwa wakili.
Bas.
Nikose kwenda chuo kikuu.
Bas.
Hapo sasa they will draw a line.
You get? Fanya hivi upate mimba, wewe na wewe usahau fanfare.
Maisha yako imeisha.
Anapiga hesabu, anaona venye unasumbukaga ukikuwa hapo, unaona hapana. Especially the first born. They learn quick. Because they take responsibility for the other ones.
Yeah, they always say that
hata mimi nifanye niondokea hawa mimi sitawalea. You get?
Yeah, it's always that the first ones are our deputy parents.
Yes. They are the second parents. Yeah. So you need to understand your children. It all boils down to that. That is the anchor situation. You need to understand your children. Hakuna kitu ingine, understand them. You will solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, because now actually the way you placed it, avoid this. Fika 18, 19, 20 when you're outside there. Yeah. Now you are actually sexually active. Your body is mature enough to accommodate, for lack of better word, to accommodate sex. You see, topics hard topics will be coming still from these kids. Mtoto atakuuliza, though ni ngumu sana siku hizi waulize, they just know, how will I know I'm ready for sex? But I think these are kind of the questions that they should be shooting, especially when they're in bigger forums, wakiwa kwa shule, when they have some school organized fun moments that they discuss such kind of things, but elimu inatoka kutoka hapo. So you cut me short on something that I was bringing on board, but you've really that was a good one. you expounded on it. Now there will be very many issues, especially now when we are introducing them to this life. One, peer pressure. Anaona so and so samani kusema mtoto fulani hawajapatiwa malezi mazuri. Sasa yeye anaambiwa ati mzee kuja hapa tuchape hii chiromo tumepata hapa kando. Yeye anajua babake alimwambia usiguze hiyo chupa la kidogo. Peer pressure. We have to talk to them about that, how they can absorb it and when to say no and when to say no. There are some pressures that are good. Mtu anakuambia kuja to join school choir. Hapo ni kuzuri. Curiosity and loneliness. Now I want to talk a little bit about loneliness. I don't know whether to bring in our kids, our brothers and sisters who are introverts. Is being an introvert being lonely?
No, it's not being lonely.
It's not.
It is not.
It is a lifestyle.
You will have kids who are very comfortable with their parents. They tend to be introverts. Kids who feel they don't want to be around their parents. Either there's a lot of violence at home, either the environment they grow up in is not sustaining their happiness. Then they get to want to go out there so they can find their happiness out there.
Nyumbani ya kukaliki.
Nyumbani sio kwa kukaliki. Ama hata kuna kalika, but it doesn't have the good environment. Hakuna furaha. You get?
So they are stepping out
to go out there and find happiness. You get?
Yeah.
Introversy is not loneliness. It is not by any level. It is not. You'll find kids who are introverts tend to have a very good relationship with their parents. With their parents.
Yeah.
You just do your research and you'll know that. They have a very good relationship with their parents.
Ni maperepere mingi naona kama sisi. So I think you should be crowning and winding this. You've touched on one that I really wanted to bring it out there so that we can differentiate between loneliness and
happiness.
Yeah, and happiness and being an introvert. So all these issues, when they are jungled up together, peer pressure, curiosity, loneliness, lack of happiness at home, vile umesema, all this might lead to teenagers to early sexual activity. And that's the reason why you said from the moment you realize that you can have a conversation with your babies, with your kids, whoever you're living with. You could be a guardian to a nephew, a niece, an adopted child, you see. Let's start this conversation as early as you said, wakiweza kuongea. So jukumu lote liko kwetu kama wazazi.
Yes.
Yeah, because the way you said and the way you put it is that the teachers should just be picking it from a level that when they introduce this story, it is a discussion that they are used to. They've been having it. The reason why us in standard 6, I was in standard 6 green in Homa Primary School. The reason why we were so much uneasy with this topic is because our parents never introduced these topics to us as early. Actually, kitambo tukigrow bwana, ilikuwa most of people will say that we were living in the military camps. Ni makosa na kuvunjwa. Makosa, there was no discussion with parents. There was no talk with parents. So you see, it slipped and went on the carpet.
I remember when we were, it's called the human anatomy. When we are doing that in school, mwalimu aliguzia akasema penis.
Darasa karibu hivi.
Hakufunza tena. Hakufunza tena.
Why? Because these are things that are there, but we don't talk about them.
We call it somebody.
Class was dismissed.
Yeah, we call him Mr. Penis. He does not know what. We call him Mr. Penis.
You should look for that school, for that class, and you people have a conversation.
We have a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
We normally call him Mr. Penis. It's so interesting. So you see.
Najua tunapatanga walimu nicknames like. Yeah, that was a very good way to end this topic. Give us your parting shot, but we bring this to an end.
A parting shot.
Yeah.
Take time to learn your children. Have a conversation with them.
Yes.
All these things, even that conversation, the topic of when should they be ready to have sex. Trust me, if you start a conversation right now, by the time they ask you that question, they will have learned themselves wakiwa wakubwa ni kutoka wanatoka kwako. I know it takes time. We've seen it, even grown-ups. Some things come to people slowly. We've seen even politicians who communication skills
Zero.
ni zero, wakana masomo communication skills zao hazijashika, lakini these people are still learning day by day. That's besides the point. But your kids, have a conversation with them. Learn your kids. This conversation will be very easy. See, haitakuwa ngumu venye watu wanafikiriaga. If only you initiate it very early in the age in their life, then it will be very easy for you. And that's my parting shot for today.
Okay, thank you so much, Bwana. Thank you so much, Bwana Mita. You've made this conversation very lively, very lovely, and very fun. You know, when we were starting this conversation, it was going to be very rigid, but I think you gave it a twist. And the best way to always impact and send an information or a message home is just put a little humor in it. Mtu atakuwa anacheka akikumbuka ile kicheko ulipeana, but the lesson is inside there. We should look for Mr. Penis, we bring him.
Don't know where this knowledge comes from.
I should take it to home before 1 week. No, 1 month. Ukule samaki utarudi ujue ni kwa nini.
Mr. Penis tutamleta. He's still alive. Yes.
Lakini ajui hiyo jina.
Mr. Penis. You alisema akafanya kiboko. We used to have one sijui kama tumtaje on TV. This guy we were in class with. Alikuwa wale watu wajinga.
Wale kitabu imekataa.
Wale watu wajinga. Sio kitabu. The humor in him.
Oh yeah. Alikuwa
mfala. So alitolewa nyuma akaletwa mbele ndio akuwa kitandiko. Because he used to make fun out of everything. So I remember very well when Mr. Penis
mentioned
Penis.
Yeye ndiye alipaswa hapo.
So I remember now hii kitu inasemwa imeenda. What is it? They ndio hiyo. Everybody was laughing in that class. But him he was.
Hey, for these and more laughs, please subscribe on our YouTube channel Thuku Mira Thuku, Sharon Paul Media. Hapo unapata katika mtandao wa YouTube, and on Facebook find us on Thuku Mira Thuku as well, and Sharon Paul SP. Kwenye Facebook, follow, share our content so that whoever wasn't live with us when this was coming on air can also have a chance to get to know what we were discussing. Keep the vibe going. Let us know the topics you would like us to be sharing with you, and we will certainly bring this to you daily or any other time that we can on the Focus Group. My name is Sharon Paul, and Mr. Thuku.
Yes.
Tumalizie na lile sala yetu la kila siku.
So tuombe. Now may the grace of Jesus Christ
and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Ujue kila wakati tunaanza hili sala inanikelea tu nini ile sala ya kwenda kukula, lakini nagundua
hakuna lunch.
Hakuna lunch.
Ukikosa kufanya kazi unashika hivyo.
Stima inaweza potea na mtandao iende wakati wote.
Now Bwana Dennis tumemaliza.
Yeah, we are good. Acha tuendelee na story ya Mr. Penny's hapo.